Hey everybody, how's it going? Good evening. This is going to be a quick little addition to this morning's video about the Jamal Adams situation because there was one point that was raised in a couple of comments, and I see this sentiment expressed in my Discord server as well sometimes. So I thought I'd go ahead and shoot a quick video about one aspect of the Jamal Adams imminent extension because I, at this point, assume that it is imminent. It could happen now, it could happen in 10 months, somewhere in between. We don't know. But there is one aspect of this extension that I think needs to be reconsidered a little bit by some people. I got a lot of comments on the Jamal Adams video. Some people said, we need to extend him right now. There were some people who were saying, no, don't extend him. He's not that good. Just let him walk, which I respect, but I definitely don't agree. There were some people saying, he's, not that good. He should only take this amount of money or that amount of money. A lot of people, and this is what this video is going to be about, seem to think that because Jamal Adams was acquired in a trade where we gave up 2 firsts, a third, and a decent player, he has us by the balls and can ask for literally anything, and we have no choice but to give in or lose all of that draft capital we gave up. So I want to talk about that because there is some truth to that. Jamal Adams knows that we did not give up all that stuff to just let him go after 2 years. Maybe if he came here and was a complete waste and a complete bust and wasn't doing anything, but that's not the case. Jamal Adams, even though there were some bumps along the way, had a very good year last year, made second team All-Pro, broke a NFL record for sacks by a defensive back, and he did that despite playing through multiple injuries. So I don't think that's the case here. So Jamal Adams certainly has more leverage than the average player. He's in a similar position to Laramie Tunsil was with Houston a year or two ago. And a lot of people talk about how he has massive leverage over the Seahawks. But there is one piece of leverage that the Seahawks have over Jamal Adams, and I want to talk about in this video. So let's take a look. Quite simple, the franchise tag. As you can see, we have laid out here the franchise tags for each position for the 2021 offseason, so this current offseason. Now, that's not relevant to us, but what Over the Cap has done on this page is make projections and assumptions about what the franchise tags might be for each position next year. And if the Seahawks have a person they could use the franchise tag on in 2022, it is most certainly going to be Jamal Adams. It's not going to be Metcalf because he still has one more year on his rookie deal. It's not going to be Wilson because he'll be under contract still. Not going to be Wagner. He'll be under contract still. It's pretty much Adams or nothing. There's nobody else you could consider using it on. So if Jamal Adams comes into these negotiations and asks for 25 million or 30 million a year or something just absurd, and you want to bring him down a little bit or a lot, all you have to do is show him this and say, hey, the franchise tag for a safety in the NFL right now is 13.2 million. And even if this projection ends up being off by a little bit, it's probably going to be off by less than $1 million. We're talking 14 million. So, if that's the way you're going to go, we could just slap a $14 million franchise tag on you and you can play with no guarantees past 2022, or you can sit the season out and make no money and lose a year of your prime. And don't get me wrong, the team would prefer very much that to not happen, but it's a negotiation tactic that this team can employ. So, yeah, if Jamal comes in with some ridiculous $25 million a year asking price, you just got to show him this. At most, the franchise tag for a safety next year should be about $14 million a year. So, hey, if you want to play with no long-term security and nothing but this 1 year fully guaranteed deal for much less than we would give you on a long-term deal, then be my guest. That sounds like very bad business to me. And yeah, there's nothing you can do about it short of, like I said, sitting out the season. But some people would say, wait a minute, could Jamal Adams possibly raise a grievance with the league about how he is being considered as a player? So Let's talk about that for a minute and see what happens if Jamal comes at it from that angle. When Jamal was in New York and also last year in Seattle, he lined up at linebacker a lot. And he could, in theory, in a franchise tag fight, go to the league and say, I should be considered a linebacker for franchise tag purposes. Okay? I should be considered, I should get linebacker money because I line up as a linebacker so much. So I want this franchise tag instead of 17.5 million. And again, maybe it's off by a little bit, but 18 million is probably more or less the ceiling. So, okay, that's not as big of a negotiation tactic, but it's still not exactly what Jamal is looking for now, is it? He's not looking to play for a 1 year deal for 18 for not eight, probably 17.5 million bucks. That's not something that any player wants to be doing, especially when you play like Jamal Adams and well, I don't want to say he's injury prone, but injuries are on the table for a player like him. So, yeah, if you're looking for a little bit of leverage that the Seahawks can hold over Jamal Adams' head, look no further. If he decides to be too much of a pain in the ass over this, you can always hold these tags over his head. The only way it becomes a problem is if he says, hey, I want defensive end money because I rush the passer so much. But yeah, good luck with that. You might be able to do the Jimmy Graham trick of being considered a wide receiver despite being a tight end, but that's only going to buy you a few million more. Either way, you're not in a happy situation if you're Jamal Adams playing on a franchise tag. So, to those of you out there who are afraid of the fact that we have no leverage over Jamal Adams and he can ask for the moon, just know we do have this in our back pocket. This is a gun you can point at his head, and it's a pretty powerful gun. He does not want to play with no long term guaranteed money on a $13.2 million contract. If he signs long term, he's going to get more than that per year. There is going to be, some give that we allow a player of Jamal Adams' caliber. We are probably going to go around 16, 17, maybe 18 million a year. I could see us maybe going a tiny bit higher than that in some scenarios, but at a certain point, you can just say, okay, eat the franchise tag. And again, he can hold out, but hey, the player has everything to lose. He's losing a year of his prime. He's not making any money at all. And I don't think Jamal Adams would be willing to do that. But even if he would be willing to threaten it, then you have yourself a game of chicken. And again, he just has way more to lose. So worry not about the Jamal Adams extension. It will be big, it will be fat. We may be looking at some years where he has a $20 million cap hit. But at a certain point, these numbers are going to start mattering. And at a certain point, you can just tell Jamal Adams to come way down off that deal he was thinking, maybe, and tell him, 16 million sets the record. Why don't you just go ahead and be happy with that? All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Just wanted to set some stuff straight about the Jamal Adams stuff. No, we don't have to give him 25 million a year. No, we probably don't even have to give him 20 million a year. He can take a new safety record, 16 to 17 million, and he's going to like it. All right. See y'all later. See you in stream later. Go Hawks.